Every day, all around the world, vast sums are changing hands in the never-ending river of money that drives the global economy. Some of this river flows into public services. Big shares go into luxury goods or military equipment, and a very large part goes to the oil, coal, and gas industries. But one of the most urgent challenges we face, tackling dangerous climate change, isn't getting the share of the river of money that it needs. We are already seeing more extreme weather, while scientists warn that we are heading for killer heat waves, food shortages, rising seas, and millions of people driven from their homes. 2/3 of the gases that are heating the planet come from fossil fuels. To eliminate those emissions, all we need to do is redirect funds away from oil, coal, and gas and towards renewable energy from sun, wind, and water. One of the reasons that money continues to be pumped into fossil fuels is that they're seen as a cheaper way to provide energy than renewables, but they're not really cheaper at all. The current price of fossil fuels ignores the huge costs associated with their use. The air pollution that kills millions every year, the damage to the environment, and the storms, droughts, and heat waves caused by climate change. Economists have estimated that climate change is already costing the global economy more than $1.2 trillion every year. Believe it or not, you are actually paying to accelerate that destruction. The International Monetary Fund estimates that with direct payments and tax breaks, the world's governments are providing a $1.9 trillion subsidy to the fossil fuel industry every year. They're using your money to prop up the industry that's causing climate change. Even with all that government support, fossil fuels are losing the price battle. The cost of solar has been falling fast in the last few years. Solar power is now cheaper than diesel power in most places, and it will match gas power in most parts of the world within 5 or 6 years. Wind energy is already competitive with new coal or gas power stations. In the long run, once the new systems for renewable energy are in place, it has to be cheaper because the fuel is free and will never run out. So how can we redirect enough money into clean energy? There are 2 things we need to do. The first is to tell our governments to end fossil fuel subsidies and stop using our taxes to give dirty energy an unfair advantage in the marketplace. Of course, we should help the world's poorest citizens get access to energy, but let's help them to tap into their huge local resources provided by the sun, the wind, or nearby streams and rivers. The second thing we need to do is to make sure renewable energy is seen as a safe investment by big institutional investors such as pension funds, sovereign funds, and insurance companies. Just a small fraction of their money would pay for a quick transition to clean energy. Well-designed policies can channel the river of money to flow towards renewables instead of fossil fuels. By setting aside relatively small sums to help guarantee companies' investments in renewables, governments can unlock a flood of private finance, often as much as 10 times the original figure, sometimes even more. And by ensuring a good price for the energy produced, we can make sure that renewable energy is a good investment. There's no shortage of clean energy. If we generate all the renewable energy we can locally and then use long-distance power lines to connect everyone to windy seas for wind energy, sunny deserts for solar, and mountain ranges for hydropower, we can produce enough energy to power the world many times over. For example, just 4% of the world's deserts covered in solar power stations could provide all the world's electricity. Fighting climate change is simple. We have all the technology we need. There's more than enough money in the global financial system to pay for the transition to renewable energy. And we know how to divert that money to where it's needed. All that's required is the political will. That's why the Climate Parliament and the United Nations Development Programme are working with members of Parliament and Congress to help make their countries attractive for big investments in renewable energy. Please show your support by signing up at climatepal.net or undp.org.